name is Cecilia André. I work in paintings, but more currently in transparencies that yield colored shadows. So I would call it mixed media at this point, and installations. I am granddaughter of Lebanese immigrants to Brazil, and I grew up in Brazil for a long time, so I would say Latino of upbringing and Middle Eastern of customs and blood and heritage. I've been using sewing in my work, and this is considered a craft and undervalued. Women have done beautiful artwork throughout the ages. I repurpose a lot of my embroidery and antique linens. I also model a lot of and look at a lot of the lace that's made in the northeastern part of Brazil, which is an amazing artistic craft movement. And I hope that this underpaid artwork will transform into something mainstream. I'd say that COVID affected our family in many ways. We have a daughter that lives abroad. We haven't been able to see her for months. We have a daughter that lives in another neighborhood. My husband moved his office to our house. I moved my studio to my house. So there were a lot of changes, but thankfully none of us got ill, so we are holding on. I feel my creative practice has changed a lot because I had a large space, a studio in Brooklyn, shared with other creatives who were also freelancers, lost their jobs, and could not hold on to this beautiful shared space in Dumbo. So I moved my studio to my home. My work is also very dependent on light, and one of the pieces that I made special to put on the window of the guest bedroom that I use as my studio now, just so I could continue observing light, transparencies, but it's quite different. I also need a lot of space to sew large pieces, and that was changed a bit. It's more cramped now. I feel that things changed very much in terms of opportunities for artists. I had been doing for 8 years tours of the galleries throughout the city, really appreciated all the spaces, small spaces, took people to see them, wrote about them, studied. It was a life source of inspiration, and I don't think that's going to be possible right now. I feel a lot of places to hang work are, changed into being virtual spaces, and people are tired of looking at their screens. I have been working with developing outdoor projects from when Figment Festival on Governor's Island, right when it opened, invited artists, and I started hanging my oil paintings still up on fences, and I was just amazed at that abundance of space, and my work started drifting towards installations and incorporating this huge space. So I feel that I was prepared to come to the Queens Botanical Gardens. I feel like a bird whose cage door was let open. Here I am. I can spread out, breathe air, be with people, see all this beautiful nature. No, I'm really happy to be out here. The first time I put some large paintings into a naturescape in Governor's Island on a fence. There was that huge greenery around it, and it gives you another measure, of space, of viewing things. And I think it's a collaboration with with nature, and I also feel like from the point of view of a viewer, it's interesting to be surprised that in a place that they're not expecting to see art, then suddenly they're like, how can I define this, and then they come to the realization it's art. So I like it. My work is very based on the fact and the imagination that it's going to be in nature. So like the red elements are really strong because they're a little different. The continuum of the colors. I think even though I do like some of these colors that can be strident, they work with the sunlight, So yeah, I'm always thinking about that. I feel that when people get to experience sunlight being painted, because these colors they paint the natural light and they transform them into colors, it gets them thinking about the phenomena of light. And even as the sun comes out and clouds make the sun less intense, it changes the color of the shadows cast, and people start looking at beyond just the shadows. They start perceiving light, because light is the essence of our vision, of everything we do, and you don't see it, but all of these spectral colors, once divided, they're part of white light if they're recombined. So in the garden I have 3 pieces, and I purposely did the shapes of the pieces very different. This piece is called Rainbow Squared because of the colors of the rainbow, and most of the shapes are geometric. Then I have another piece that's all the way up there against the fence, and it's called Breaking Waves, and it has a lot of this movement, of one color going into another. It also has a lot of transparencies of color on color. And in the entrance of the Botanical Gardens, to your right, before you go up in the green roof, there's another piece that has circles, circular shapes, more organic, and they're peppered, and the color scheme is one being different than the other rather than a continuum. And that one is called Blossom because, well, there's an avenue here called Blossom, which is so cute. And I think this whole idea of the sunlight coming into the colors and then creating patches, it feels like a different kind of blossoming, but analogous to the blossoms of the garden. I am so happy to be outside of the studio into this place that is nature-filled, beautifully designed. But it's interesting. Sometimes people assume that gardens are just a chunk of nature, but they also have a design to them, And I've been actually a horticultural partner of the High Line for 4 years, working in their gardens, and I was very frustrated not to be able to work outdoors on my work and as a gardener. So now this was a doubly wonderful thing for me to be out here. Thank you, AnkhLave. Thank you, Botanical Garden. I'm so happy.